We're just waiting a few more minutes for some people.
Well, I got to brag about Amy at least a little bit. It's what I do best. She doesn't know I'm going to brag about her, but she knows every time I talk about Amy, I always brag. Last year, Amy came to North Dakota, of all places, the middle of nowhere. And she was kind enough to present at our Foreign Language Association of North Dakota meeting. And she was there for Spanish, there were Latin teachers, French teachers, German teachers. And Amy changed my life, my professional life, for the much, much better. For example, this past year, I had 86 students total. And this coming year, I have 136 students for the coming year. I have an extended contract. Yay, that means money. Yeah. And it's all thanks to you.
That's so exciting.
Amy Marshall.
Well, listen, you did something yourself there, my friend. You worked hard on that.
Well, you know, you can only do something if you have somebody else who believes in you that you can. And you were that person for me, Amy.
Oh, well, thanks. So, and you've done such an awesome job.
Well, it's, you know, I just like you, Amy, I was stuck in the grammar rut. And, you know, I don't know. It isn't CI. They're speaking more and they're happier too. That can't be wrong. Plus, the national AATG exam I gave this year, I had a gold medalist, a silver medalist, and a bronze medalist. So I can't argue with the results, even with you know, the total change. You know, the grammar was in the background, and then the CI, the speaking and everything was in the foreground. They did a great job in the AATG exam. So
that's so exciting.
I believe in you, Amy.
Oh, thanks. You know, I've always loved teaching. I mean, it was what I was made to do, but switching to CI, it just brings a level of fun and enjoyment to it that, and playfulness. It brings a certain playfulness, and the kids just really seem to enjoy it and get plugged in there. And so it's been quite an adventure, and it's always a learning road. I haven't arrived by any stretch of the imagination. You know,
we're all working on it.
You know what?
You know, we're all in different points. Summer, like last summer, I had only heard of CI, and I was digging my heels in the dirt, like Fred Flintstone in his car, because I was like, okay, I'm in the Stone Age. I love the Stone Age. My Stone Age is something I know really, 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 really well, and I don't want to leave it. And I was so stubborn until I met you. Your enthusiasm is so catchy, you know.
Thanks.
Like,
thanks.
Good thing you don't have COVID to spread, because you'd spread that too. Just kidding. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You know, I loved my grammar. I loved teaching grammar. I don't know why the kids didn't love it as much as I did. I think it's fascinating.
It is.
They didn't so much. But you know what? They're learning to speak just the way my children learned how to speak. And there's really no difference. I always, when I'm telling people how CI works, I compare it to watching my children coming home from kindergarten and first grade, learning how to read and how to write. You know, and they'd come home with those crazy little journals, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's how they spelt that, or that's how they said that. But you understood it. You knew what they were trying to say. And their teacher never went, no, it's spelled like this and it should be like this. And they never did that. They were just like, oh, that sounds fun. Great idea. This is great. And I started using that mentality as I graded my students' papers. And it was exciting to see the progress, because they loved the feedback. And let's be honest, how many times have you spent hours and hours correcting papers and grammar and structure and all this, and you know they don't look at it. They look at the grade and they're like, ugh, and they throw it, right?
They throw it in the garbage can on the way out the door. It makes me mad. Yeah.
Write a comment about their ideas, and then they're intrigued that you're commenting on that, and the repetition just comes. And just like your kids don't say, one of my kids couldn't say paper towels. It was purple towels. They don't say purple towels anymore because they've heard the word so many times. It just gradually evolves. And just like language learning, and in first language, it comes along, and we just kind of direct it through a funnel to get it where we're going. So, well, let me get started. Once again, my name is Amy Marshall. I am a teacher. I've taught middle, high school, and college, but I am currently a middle school teacher. It's where I am happiest, and I have been in the school that I'm in for 12 years now. Have taught 4 out of my 5 children as their Spanish teacher. Some loved me, some hated me. That's okay. And I use technique.
Now, before we make the plans, will be something our group discuss.
Oh, okay. Great. So, yeah, so I teach out in Massachusetts. I live in Connecticut. I am on the East Coast. And let's see what we're gonna.
We all mute.
People.
We all mute except for Amy.
So our next steps are this.
Mute everyone.
Next meeting is scheduled for Thursday.
I think I got it. All right. Okay. I have an agenda for the meeting that we're going to follow. It's a presentation, but I really, really want everyone to feel free to interrupt me, stop me, ask questions. I don't care if it goes off in a different direction. So I just want to make sure that you're getting what you want. I'm going to start, I'm going to share my screen with you. And let's see okay. And I am going to go to my presentation. Let me get you all set up here, everybody. And I am calling this presentation Basic Skills, TPRS Basic Skills, Teaching Proficiency Through Reading and Storytelling Basic Skills. First thing I want to point out to you is that the ideas in this presentation come from a book. They come from the book called TPRS in a Year. It's by Ben Slavic. He is a teacher that has greatly molded the way I teach, and he's got a lot of great ideas. And just like what you're going to hear from me, you're going to hear some things from me that you like and some things that you don't like, some things that would work for you and some things that won't work. Take what works and let the rest go. It's all good. Not all of these things work well for me. Not all the things that he talks about work well for me, but these basic skills are skills that will carry you through as you're using comprehensible input, using these different techniques. So if it will let me go to the next slide, please. Okay. And okay, here we go. So these are what the basic skills are. Some of them we're going to go fly right through. Some of them we may have stop and ask questions and talk more about. There are 13 basic skills. I'm betting that a lot of you do a lot of them already, but the key here is to be aware of them. And as you're aware of these skills, you can fine tune them. And we're also going to have to talk about how it works, not only in a face-to-face classroom, but how it works online. Okay. Some of these things you're going to be like, oh yeah. And some of them I'm still going, I'm not sure. But maybe together we'll have ideas that we can share. All right. So signing and gesturing. is the first one. I'm going to go to my slide. Signing and gesturing. Now, signing or gesturing, the words pump up the students much more merely than teaching meaning. It immediately builds a sense of trust through fun. I had an early talker. One of my kids was a real early talker, spoke in complete sentences at 18 months. I was like, she's a genius. She's not, but she's wonderful. And then I have another one who didn't really speak in sentences till he was a little past 3 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh, is he ever going to talk? They're both, everybody's fine. Everybody acquires at a different pace their language. Some people need to hear structures 50 to 100, 150, even 200 times for them to become a part of their acquired language. Now, with my late talker, we used this technique of signing and gesturing, and I'm betting a lot of you used baby sign language. Anybody use baby sign language? Right? And your kid gradually grew out of it. You used it for a while, and then all of a sudden your kids didn't need it anymore, and it just gradually, you're like, oh my gosh, we're not doing the signings anymore. This is what I do for my most common verbs and words that I want kids to remember. I create a gesture for them. The most, some of them are actual American Sign Language that I don't speak sign language, so who knows if I'm actually doing them correctly, but my students get them. We have verbs, my sign for want, I want it, want. I have it, like, oh, it's mine, 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 I have it, right? Obvious ones like I hear, I talk, I grab. You're gonna come up with gestures that work for you, all right? There are people that are always asking, what's your gesture for this? It doesn't matter. If it's something, we often ask the kids, what would you do for this one? I can't think of a gesture for this. What would you do? And they come up for one, and again, if they are the ones contributing to it, it means more to them. So that it's really important to bring them in. If you can't think of something or you want to get their idea on something, include them. It builds the relationship in the classroom. Now, also then, every time you use that word, you're going to do the gesture. I always talk, I feel like I'm very Italian. I'm like always like with my arms. The kids are always like, but I'll sign a whole sentence to the kids and they follow me. They know exactly what I'm saying because they're used to the gestures and I've taught them and we've collaborated on them. You want to make sure that they're doing the gestures with you. This is hard because not a lot of them are on the screen, right? So this is one that you can't necessarily, with online learning, make your students do. You can encourage it. You can teach it that I want you to do it and set it as an expectation. But you know, you've got the students that are going to have their screen blanked out, right? And what can you do? They're there. I'm thankful they're there, right? But you keep doing them. That means they might not outgrow the gestures because you're not sure if they're getting it or not, right? So you just keep doing your gestures for them. But gestures are a huge part, an important basic skill. Now, PQA stands for personalized questions and answers. And personalized questions and answers, it's one of my least favorite things. It's my weakness. This is my Achilles heel. The choice to use PQA, I can't speak either, PQA depends entirely on the personality of the teacher. How you use it, how you incorporate it. Many teachers skip it, some thrive on it, often to the exclusion of making stories. You can do PQA different ways. I wrote a whole blog post about how I hated it and I was terrible at it and I couldn't do it. But then I talk a lot, but I really don't like to talk. There's my problem. I'm not a small talk person there. I've just confessed to all of you. I'm not a small talk person. If I say to a kid, do you like dogs? And they're like, yeah, I'm like, okay, good, let's go. I don't like, do you like big dogs or small dogs? Do you like furry dogs? Do you like hairless dogs? Like, that's not me. And I struggle with that kind of a questioning. If I need to do that kind of a questioning, I have actually created a whole presentation. I know Marianne does, Marianne, what do you call it? I call it special person interviews. What do you call it? You call it star student or?
Superstar.
Superstar, yeah.
Superstar. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Marianne.
I was trying to find that unmute button. And then also, Amy, what's the name of your blog, sweetie?
It is Zona de Profes.
Oh my God, please spell that for us.
I'm gonna post it in the chat section towards the end, okay? And that we'll get that for everybody. I've also got it at the end of my presentation that I can share my YouTube channel and all that stuff. Okay?
Beautiful. And is it in English?
Yes. The blog
Sweet.
is in English.
Thank you.
Yes. Das ist gut. That's all I got. Sorry, I'm out. Okay, so I actually have a whole special person, star of the day, presentation so that when I need to just focus on a student and do an interview with them, I don't run dry, because I run dry, right? You have a dog, you like your dog, that's nice. Now I'm gonna go on to the next kid, and I can't do that. I gotta get to the meat, right? So I am gonna share a different screen with you real quickly. I'll show you my presentation, if I can get to it. Let's see. Okay, that's not it. I have way too many screens open. There it is. So it's called Special Person. And what I do is I have, and this is in Spanish, and I'll apologize for that. I have created it in English that I could, I'm happy to share any of these things with you if you need, like, for ideas. But so I'm not good with the interviewing people. I stink, but I do this. We get basic facts from people. I want to know their name. Do they have a nickname? Do they prefer another name? Want to know their birth date, how old they are. I ask them when their birthday is. We talk about what season it's in. I ask them to describe themselves and to give adjectives, and we talk about who they are and what they are. Okay, so this but you see, I am filling my screen up with things so that I don't run out. I'm sure a kid could talk about themselves all day long. The ones that aren't shy that can do that. But so for the people like me that struggle with PQA, this is my crutch. I can always just go here. Once we get through the basic information, I then have, all right, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about family or friends or pets or activities or school, the future, your childhood, likes and preferences, what bothers you, wishes and dreams? And then this makes it even more magical because they've got voice and choice. They decide what they want to share with you about themselves. And so then the conversation will go much more smoothly because they're interested. What are they interested in? Themselves. They want to tell you what they like about themselves, what they want to share, and you've given them that choice. So that
Maybe if I may interject,
please.
I do have a Google Slides presentation prepared. It's called Superstar Interview, and it's all in German. And it doesn't go into as much detail as yours, but I'm happy to share that at CI German Teachers Bitmoji group. And so look for that. I'm going to place that on the page so that you can see my example. And I actually made mine where it would be something that students for distance learning. Superstar Interview is usually done in front of the whole class, and we're all learning from each other through that feedback in the class. And yes, Amy, we would love for you to share your slideshow as well, because I do like all the details, and thank you for the Spanish and English so that we can translate that as well.
And I mean, if people are interested in specifically special person, I can do a whole session for you on special person interviews.
Wow.
Well,
I have done a lot of work in this last year turning, I don't know if your district, we all get our buzzwords, right? That your district wants to focus on one special thing and everybody's got to learn how to, and then you got to change up the way you teach everything.
Yeah.
You just putting different color lipstick on the pig. But
Yes, people are wanting to have this special interview. And see, I think it would be great to do special interview in this way.
Yes.
So that we can see how this works
Okay.
on via distance learning.
Okay, so maybe we can plan for our next meeting to do special person interviews. But the one thing, so what I've done with it, special person, is I've turned it into a PBL, project-based learning,
Okay.
which is the big buzzword in my school district. And generally, it doesn't, if you follow it the way it's prescribed, it doesn't necessarily work well for language acquisition because the kids have to do all this research on their own about a topic. However, if you look at all the elements of project-based learning, special person is a project that would carried me while we were in school through that entire year. Kids taking notes on each other with the final outcome being that they've created a yearbook of their class with pictures and information, and it fills
Then
out
you have a nice portfolio to share.
Yes, and if you're creating a library of books, you've got books that kids can read about each other, that different classes can reach, and you just gradually create a library. So yes, I'd be happy to do that. So special person interviews is one way to hone in on, I am not seeing the chats real well when I'm doing this. Yes, so yes. I do special person interviews twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. They do not take away from most of my classes. I can still get a regular whole class thing done and conduct one special person interview. Usually interview a kid for like 10, maybe 15 minutes, depends on how interested they are. So on a Tuesday, we do an interview. On after it, we do a write and discuss, where I'm typing up on the screen or my computer screen, however it is, and the students tell me what they know about the special person. And we create our basic write-up. And then the following day, I give them a quiz on the special person. And I say, tell me, and it'll depend on how many things that we came up with in our write and discuss. But I'll say, maybe tell me 5 things, 7 things, 10 things that you know about our special person. And then I do not grade them, and I already kind of mentioned this, I don't grade them on the grammar. I grade them on expressing the thoughts. They're graded on giving me correct information about their person, their star of the day, their special person. And again, because of repetition, those errors are going to gradually disappear. And this is just, it's a wonderful way to hit all that basic. I don't have to teach birthday. I don't have to teach the months of the year and the days of the week, because I do calendar talk and I do special person. And all of these things come out because it's what the kids are interested in. So it's a fun thing. Tuesday, we do an interview, a write and discuss. And so Tuesday, Thursday are the interviews. Wednesday, Friday are the short quizzes. And the quiz takes like 5 minutes because they know, come in and write, you know. Yes, so we will talk, let's talk about, do you want to just talk about special person now, or do you want to, can I get a show of opinions? Do you want me to keep going with special person now, or do you want me to save it for a whole talk another time? Anybody? Okay, because I've got a whole presentation on it. Let's wait and do the whole presentation. And I will, in that presentation, share ideas on how to do it online. there's not a burning need to get it all done right now, since I'm thinking all of you, except for me, are done teaching so far for this year. I'm the only one that's got a few more weeks to go. Okay. Okay, so after my video cut out with you guys, it didn't record the second half, so I'm just going to record it right here now and give you the information. All right, so we were talking about PQA, and I would make up a board like this that has all of my most frequently used vocabulary words on the screen for the kids to refer to, because it's really important for me to be able to pause and point to the vocabulary. Now, talking about online, we discussed that I could go into settings and create this gigantic cursor that I have made. To do that, you're going to go to settings. Now, I only know how to do it on Mac, but you would go to cursor, and then, so open settings, up in the search bar, size of cursor. You can type right in size of cursor. It'll bring you right there, and there's a slide bar that you can slide and decide what size works best for you. And that way I can point and pause and circle, and there's a cursor that's big enough that it's definitely going to get their attention when I'm online. Okay, so I have all of my question words, words that'll be helpful to have to create bigger sentences, and then my most commonly used verbs. This one is in the yo form, so that if I'm talking with a kid directly, I can say something to them and they'll know how to respond saying I this or I that. So I would give them the basic vocabulary. If I were going to do straight up PQA, I could say, ¿Te gusta un perro grande o ¿te gusta un perro pequeño? Me gusta un perro grande. And do you see how I'm using gestures for all of that? The gesturing is so important for the kids. So, ¿te gusta? Me gusta un perro grande. ¿Te gusta? ¿Te gusta un perro grande también? Also? Wow. ¿Te gusta un perro feroz? And then I could just keep making it bigger. And I'm going to go until I get a kid to give me a tidbit that I might be able to bite on and create a story from. Oh, you like a tiny, ferocious dog that wants to eat hamburgers? Oh. Do you have a tiny, ferocious dog that wants to eat hamburgers? Or do you want a tiny, ferocious dog? And do you see, I can just keep playing with it. And if the kids are laughing and interested, then I go with it. And if they're not, well, I just keep going on to something else. Okay, that one didn't make anything. We go to something else. I can either talk to another kid or I can ask that kid different questions. Establishing identities in class is one of the biggest keys to successful PQA. The trick in PQA is to flow with what you find out from the students and not to impose anything. You want to get from them what they want to talk about. There will be more freedom as they get more savvy with the language. You respond to what you learn as if it is the most important information you have ever heard. You get details while at the same time laughing and having fun, and that's what I was talking about at the beginning. You bring playfulness into the classroom. Point and pause. So as I was doing my little dog and pony show with you about the big dog or the little dog, I'm pointing and pausing with my gigantic cursor. See how big it is. Write any new word down with its English translation. And pointing to both, pause in order to let the new information sink in. Now notice, we got to deal with things differently here, and that was why I went into that whole making your cursor bigger. When I'm in school, I've got this gigantic Mickey Mouse pointer finger thing that I use to point and pause. But now online, we make this gigantic cursor much bigger. And then even after you've established meaning and begun the story, You continue at all times to reinforce the meaning by pointing and pausing during PQA and beyond. When you're using those words, point to them. The kids will appreciate it. The ones who don't need it, they won't care. The ones that who do need it, they'll appreciate it. Okay, circling. Circling is going to be the crux of getting you up and running with CI. The focus of circling in each sentence is on the part of the sentence that's new to the student. You can circle however you want. The key here is circling what's new. There's a list of different questions that you can ask as you circle the new information. A statement. So my sentence that we're going to play with is Juan tiene un gato grande. Juan has a big cat. Now, Juan tiene un gato grande. I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to say, clase, Juan tiene un gato grande. And just right here, I'm going to expect them to react and go, oh, like I have just told them some very important information. So I say, Juan tiene un gato grande. And then I go, clase, Juan tiene un gato grande? I'm using my gestures. Juan tiene un gato grande? And they'll be like, yeah, you just told us he had a big cat. What are you talking about? See. And you're going to have a serious conversation with them before you start doing all this stuff. Let them know what I'm doing is not because I'm losing my mind. I lost that a long time ago. This is because I need you to get repetitions of this vocabulary so that you learn it. So I don't have to send you home with a list of vocabulary words to learn. That's how we're avoiding it. You're getting all sorts of interaction with the vocabulary so it sinks in. The average person needs to hear a word 50 to 100, 150, even 200 times before it becomes a part of their acquired language. So we need to repeat. And you might want to have a kid, if they're online, you might want to have them, if you've got a kid that has trouble focusing or paying attention, you might pick that kid and give them the job and say, listen, every time you hear me use the word tiene, I want you to write down a hash mark. And let's keep track of how many times I say it. Let's see if I can hit it 50 times in this time that we're working. Keeps that kid focused. They're listening for what you're saying. And it gives you an idea of, are you hitting the repetitions that you need to hit for these kids to acquire? So, I in my class have the golf counter things or the stitch counter things that they click to keep track of how many times I say these things. But online, you're going to have to make, have somebody do a hash mark. Anyway, so I say, clase, Juan tiene un gato grande. Clase, Juan tiene un gato grande. And I encourage them. If you can answer me in a full sentence, answer me in a full sentence. If you can go like this, and that's all you can give me, great, I'll take it. If you can give me a thumbs up, or you can go a C or a no, I'll take it. Give me what you can give me. When you can give me more, because it'll help you. So I say, Juan tiene un gato grande o pequeño? Juan tiene un gato grande. Oh, now negative one, that's where I get a 3 for 1. The negative, I'll go, oh, Juan tiene un gato pequeño, ¿sí, clase? And they'll be like, lady, you already asked us this a million times. I know, humor me. Juan tiene un gato pequeño? And they'll go, no, Juan tiene un gato grande. And I'll go, oh, Juan no tiene un gato pequeño, Juan tiene un gato grande. Es ridículo, Juan no tiene un gato pequeño, tiene un gato grande. And see how many repetitions I just got out of that? And they think I'm insane. I mean, I am. But I'm getting the vocabulary into them. Then I can ask them a question word. ¿Quién? Who? ¿Quién tiene un gato grande? I think it's Juan. ¿Qué tiene Juan? Juan tiene un gato grande. And you could just play with the question words. Juan tiene un gato grande y un gato pequeño? Does he have a big cat and a small cat? So those are all the possible questions you can ask with that sentence. Now in the beginning, as I was learning to circle, I would chart them all out. so I could just focus on it until my brain was circled up that it would do it automatically. But then you're not going to keep always asking all of those circling questions. Remember, you're only circling what the kids don't know. They're going to start to be offended and feel like you're treating them like they're idiots if you keep circling everything, and it's going to get boring. Now, Martina Bex has a great blog. When I started out with CI, I read everything on her blog. You can go to martinabex.com. If you search on the Comprehensible Classroom, that's what the title of her blog is. She shares this free, and I will share that with you guys later. But this is circling, and it basically lays out John eats a pizza. That's your statement. And then you go, does John eat a pizza? You make your statement, and then you ask your yes question. And then you go, does Bob or John eat a pizza? Oh, John eats a pizza. And then you might also go, does John throw a pizza or does John eat a pizza? You could do either or questions. And then you go, does John eat M&Ms? No, John eats a pizza. So this shows you how to do it. And there's also a blank template that comes with this. So you could practice writing them out. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but at the beginning, it was a good practice for me to get my brain in that space. Okay, slow. I can't say enough, and I know I don't always speak slowly, but this is something we have to all focus on. Speaking too fast disempowers students. Speaking to your students slowly indicates respect, and you know how important that is. When you go slowly, you acknowledge that you appreciate how hard it is for your students to understand the new and foreign language. Now, Blaine Ray said, the reason we have to go slowly is that we can't feel how hard it is. We've been doing this forever. We have a feeling that the language is easy because that is our experience. By slowing down much more than we believe is necessary or possible, we are getting close to the best speed. We can only feel this by learning another language. I'm learning Chinese this summer, and it's going to help me to remember because I'm going to know it's hard. When you think you're going slow enough, go slower. Teaching to the eyes. It is so important to make a connection and to build relationships and to let these kids know that you are plugged in to them. This is super hard to do online. Some of the kids aren't going to turn their cameras on for you, and there's only so much you can do. We're going to have to figure out how to muddle through that. But are you making eye contact with your students? In any class, the students are constantly making decisions about how engaged to become in their learning process. And so also you are making decisions about how much to engage the students with you. Make eye contact. Let them know they matter. You care enough to look them in the eye and to see that they're okay and to check in with them. Okay, barometer student. I think this is one of the most important things, and it's life-changing. There is often at least one student who just doesn't get it. The student who doesn't get it but wants to get it, that's your barometer student. These students must be included in the class initially. They're hard to teach, and many TPRS teachers let them go. They just kind of fall off to the wayside and struggle. And some people let them go in the midst of trying to juggle all these skills that we're trying to learn to use. But these kids hold a big key to our success because they're going to force us to slow down, and that's great. And in every one of my classes, I always, in my head, identify who is that kid? Who's the kid that doesn't get it, but they want to get it? I'm going to reach them. And that's my no kid left behind. I'm going to teach to that kid, and I'm going to make sure that that kid gets exactly what I want them to get. And I'm going to stay with them, and I'm going to fight with them, and I'm going to check in with them and make sure that they know how to communicate. I'm going to help them get the repetitions they need. And if they're not ready to go, we're not going. The other kids will appreciate this because it'll slow you down naturally enough that the other kids have time to do more with the language and to get more practice. There's never too much practice. My favorite story, and I almost forgot to tell it now, was the student that I had that she came in 6th grade, very shy, quiet little girl. English isn't her first language, and now she's in with Spanish. And she didn't say a word, but she was really plugged in. I knew she was paying attention. I knew she wanted to get it. She was my girl. And I just stayed with her. I didn't force her ever. I didn't call her out on things. I didn't make her answer questions. And so we started school late August. And by the middle of January, she raised her hand in class one day. And we were all like, oh, or yeah, go ahead. And she answered my question and was like, brrr, and she just went on and on and on in Spanish. And I was just mouth agape, and all the other kids in the class were like, and everyone exuded joy because of her success. And she had just had a really long silent period, and that was okay. And through that whole class, I remember her going, raising her hand, raising her hand, raising her hand. And she was so on. She knew Spanish. And at the end of the class, her last question when she raised her hand was, are you proud of me? And I did. I started to cry. I was so excited. I was like, oh, honey, I can't even begin to tell you. And she's been a superstar ever since. Pick your barometer student. They might surprise you and be your heavy hitter. And it's exciting when it happens. All right, what did I just say? At certain points in the story, when the instructor senses a lack of understanding or there's a low response from an individual, the instructor simply asks, what did I just say? Yeah, in English. It doesn't matter. It's helpful if the instructor acts as if the responsibility for the lack of comprehension belongs to him or her, as in fact, it usually does. And I say to kids, listen, if you don't get it and you're paying attention, it's not your fault. It's my fault. I just haven't said it in a way that you get it yet. So let me take that weight. That's mine. I'll help you to understand it. Okay? Reactions. This is important. Listen, I'm theatrical. I'm a big drama queen when I'm teaching. I'm just a big drama queen. Anyway, reactions. Are you insisting on a reaction from all of your students to just about everything that happens during the story? If I say, clase, Juan tiene un gato grande, I want them to go, oh, or oh, or wow. This is also an awesome opportunity for you to give them rejoinders, expressions to use. Wow, that stinks. Poor guy. Oh, I can't believe it. That's a joke. Give them funny expressions to use, and that'll become a part of their conversation as well. Reaction, it's an important skill because it keeps the students honest and involved. And most importantly, this is another skill that forces you to go slowly because you're demanding their responses. I'll say, if I say, Juan tiene un gato grande, and they're like, I'll go, clase, Juan tiene un gato grande. And then I start playing with them because then they're going to keep hearing the sentence until they give me a reaction, right? So if one kid doesn't do it, I'll go to that kid and go, Juan tiene un gato grande. And they'll finally play along. They mess with me, you know. All right, silence is not golden in the TPRS classroom. When there is silence, you know the following. 1, you could be going too fast. 2, the students don't understand maybe. 3, the students aren't being given enough time to think of cute answers. You want them to be giving you cute responses. They can't all be cute all the time. Sometimes they need time to think about it. And maybe you're not checking on your barometer student. That might help you to know what's going on. Recycling. Recycle. Recycling means summarizing what has happened so far in the story. It's like a mini retell during the story. Recycling needs not to last a long time. It's not necessary, but it gives the student a chance to comprehend multiple sentences. I often will go over and I have a fake telephone at the front of the class, and I'll be like calling my mom. Mom, can you believe that Juan has a big cat and it's ferocious and ugly? And I'll tell my mom my story. Or if somebody walks into the classroom and interrupts my class, I'll make them stand there and listen. And I'll summarize for them just to keep pulling them back in. Recycle the information. Use every opportunity presented to you to get this material repeated to them again and again and again because they got to hear it 50 to 100, 150, even 200 times, right? So recycle it. Make lemons out of lemonade, right? Your phone rings. finish the phone call, and then, oh yeah, and did you know that Juan has an ugly cat? Yeah. Or pretend you're sending a text to somebody, and then, and then, yeah, and Juan has an ugly, ferocious cat that wants to eat hamburgers. Recycle it. Be a drama queen. It's fun. If 80% of your students score 80% or higher on your unannounced quizzes or tests, the lesson you have planned for the next class can proceed. You're ready to go. If, on the other hand, the students don't fulfill that 80% rule, you should do some more recycling the next day. You may not be ready to go on. Anytime I give a test or a quiz, they don't know it's a test or quiz. I don't announce it. I just give it. Because I know that if they're ready to go, they'll do well. They trust me as a result of that. I know. And the kids, they don't even think I'm giving them tests or quizzes. They're like, you never give us tests or quizzes. Oh, no, I don't. Ever, ever. The point is, I just don't announce them so that they don't have to go out home and freak out. Because I know they know it. They've gotten the repetition. They've plugged in class. They've done the work. They're going to be fine. And if I give an assessment and they don't do well, they can redo it. And I'm not giving them dummied down stuff. I'm giving them solid stuff and expecting them to give me solid work. So that 80% rule thing with unannounced, you're getting a good read on what your kids can do. Staying in bounds, super important. Use words that the kids know. And don't ever introduce a word without making sure the students know its meaning. You'll lose them. They're going to get bored because they're not understanding. Be sure to write new words and their English translations on the board and point to them. Point. Pause. Find a good reason to pause. Act like you forgot what you were going to say and point to it and give them time to digest. Stay in bounds. Building most of your CI for that day only around the target structures. You should have a small number of words that you're focusing on for the day, and then the rest should be review stuff. If there's another word that comes in, you gotta put it up so that they have it there. And that's just a mutual sign of respect between you and your students. They're going to respect you for doing it, and they're going to give you their attention because they appreciate that you're not leaving them in the dark. Comprehension checks. Many experienced teachers in TPRS report that the best way to assess comprehension is simply to ask the class to put up a hand, 10 fingers indicating 100% comprehension. 5 fingers indicates 50% comprehension. How much did you understand? I sometimes do 5 fingers. 5 fingers. You understood absolutely everything. You're having problems with it. It's recommended to do this skill once every 10 minutes or so during CI. A couple times during class. How are we doing? How much are you understanding? A faster way to do a comprehension check is to simply ask the students to give thumbs up, thumb sideways, or thumb down as an indication of the level of comfort with the speed of the input you're providing, with what you're giving them that day. How you doing? And that'll give you an idea. I also have them close their eyes when I do it so that they have anonymity. It makes a difference. It does. All right, and that's all I have to share. If you have questions or things that you want me to cover in some of our summer meetings, please send me an email to zonadeprofes@gmail.com. I have a blog at zonadeprofes.weebly.com. I don't write a whole lot just because I've been so busy lately, but there are blogs there for you to check out. Also, I am on YouTube and post a lot of videos. I mean, until we were home, I was posting a lot of videos. DMS Spanish, all one word, is my YouTube channel. Please subscribe and you'll get these videos and updates whenever I post anything else. Hope to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day.